Okay, something totally different today. We're actually going to be doing the scales that exist for the Shawzin, okay? So there's many scales that exist for the Shawzin. We've got major scales, we've got minor scales, we've got pentatonic scales and all that jazz. We've got ones from Japan, we've got ones from like Greek. Either way, we're going to go through all of the scales. I'm just going to show you on the piano what each scale is. Okay. So the first scale that we're going to go into is the major scale. So the major scale, as defined on the Shawzin in the Shawzin UI, is actually the C major scale. So it just is basically all of the white keys on the piano, starting from C. All of the scales start from a low C, and they just go up for 12 strings, because there's actually 12 string and fret combinations, including the 3 non-fret combinations of just playing a string and then another string and then another string. So we have 12 notes to choose from. So the major scale, as defined on the Shawzin UI, is, because we only have 12 notes, we only go from low C to a higher G, but this is actually middle G on the piano. So the major scale again. Pretty simple, major scale. The next scale is going to be the minor scale. So the minor scale is actually a scale, the C minor scale, which has 3 flats. We've got E flat, A flat, B flat. And because of that, it sounds a little bit more sadder, I guess, a little bit more depressing than the C major scale. Minor scales in general tend to sound a little bit sadder than major scales, and they tend to be used for more sadder songs. So the C minor scale is simply, there's also like different versions of the minor scale when you're learning piano and when you're doing piano exams. When it comes to the scale section, which is part of the technical section, you tend to do different minor scales. But for the Shawzin, and for the sake of the Shawzin, we're just going for a straight C minor scale. So that's why we're not doing any random things about that. Okay, cool. So again, we only have 12 notes, so we actually start from low C and finish on a high G. So those are the notes we get. Those are the notes we get for the minor scale. Alright, the next one is going to be the Hiroyoshi Scale. The Hiroyoshi Scale apparently is supposed to be derived from Japanese music, Japanese traditional folklore music. So, in that case, we actually have what appears to be a hexatonic scale. A pentatonic scale. So pentatonic scale means that it's only 5 notes. We actually have a bunch of pentatonic scales to go through. This one will be of the first of many. So the Hiroyoshi Scale, as transcribed is C, C sharp, F, F sharp, B flat, and then we go back to C. And because there's only 5 notes, we're able to actually do 2 full octaves plus a little bit more. So that's the scale that we have. So those are the notes that we get to choose from when we're trying to make music out of the Hiroyoshi Scale. Okay. The next one is going to be the Phrygian Scale. The Phrygian Scale is actually just the C minor scale, but for some reason they've decided to change the E flat that we have in the C minor scale to a D flat. So it's essentially the same, it's just this one. Ultimately it's the same, again, because we only have 12 notes. We start from C and end with a higher G, but it's actually middle G. So when you're using the Phrygian Scale, just know that it's actually going to sound a lot like the minor scale. The only difference is we have a different flat. That's it. Alright, the next one is going to be the Pentatonic minor scale. The Pentatonic minor scale, just like the Hiroyoshi Scale, it's pentatonic, so that means 5 tones, okay? In this case, we have the pentatonic scale of C, E flat, F, G, B flat, and then back to C. Which means we actually get to do 2 octaves plus a little bit more because we have 12 notes, so it sounds a little bit like this. There's 2 extra notes in there. Actually, you actually end with a high F, not a high G. Actually, I just played that a little bit wrong. But that is the pentatonic minor scale. We actually get those notes from the C minor scale. So when you look at the pentatonic major scale, which is the next one, we actually get 5 notes from the major scale, so there's actually no flat at all. Whereas the minor scale, we actually had E flat and B flat in there. For whatever reason, there's no A flat. I don't know why. If you are into jazz music, if you actually learned jazz music, if you've been trained in that, or jazz, rock, pop, that kind of stuff, you might have a better idea than me. Actually, you probably will have a better idea than me about what is the deal with the pentatonic scales, why certain notes are chosen as opposed to other scales. So let me know in the comments below. Let's give everybody a bit of extra context. I was trained in classical music when I was learning piano, so we didn't exactly deal with pentatonic scales. We kind of just brushed over them, but we didn't exactly use them per se. Okay. Alright, so the pentatonic major scale is simply C, D, E, G, A, C. Repeat. Probably end with a high G, actually. I'm not 100% sure. Bottom line is, no flats, 5 notes, that's it. Okay? And then we go on to the chromatic scale. So the chromatic scale, by definition, is simply every half tone that exists, okay? So no matter what instrument you play, it is the same for all of them. It could start from one spot and then finish at another spot. It doesn't really matter. It is ultimately the same idea. So the chromatic scale, obviously starting from low C, just simply starts like this. Aside from that little bit at the start, it's ultimately just a gradual rise in pitch and a gradual lowering in pitch depending on which direction you're going. Okay, cool. So that's the same with the chromatic scale on the Shawzin, but because we only have 12 notes, we actually can only go from C up to a B in the same octave. We actually don't get an extra octave with the Shawzin, okay, because we only have 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 notes, okay? Cool. And finally, we have the hexatonic scale, and I do say finally because there's actually a new scale that just came about with the Saint of Old. No, sorry, with the recent update. I believe it would be the arbitration rewards update. So, first off, the hexatonic scale is like the pentatonic scale, except now instead of 5 notes, we have 6 notes, okay? I don't know why they chose these 5 notes, so again, if you have some better understanding of how hexatonic and pentatonic scales are created, let me know in the comments, because I don't actually remember this. I may have learned this in music class, but I've forgotten from high school music. Anyway, the hexatonic scale is actually simply C, E flat, F, G flat, G, B flat, C. And real quick, the reason why I call F sharp G flat is because when you introduce a flat into a scale, you generally don't want to mix everything up by introducing sharps as well, because then things can get really, really messy. So you just want to keep everything as a sharp, or you keep everything as a flat. If I were to call G flat F sharp in this particular scale, then I would call E flat D sharp, okay? But for whatever reason, I decided to call it E flat, so I'm going to call it G flat. So, and because we have 6 notes in this hexatonic scale, we actually get 2 full octaves going from C up to a high B flat, okay? Screwed that up. Okay, moving on. We have a final new one, which is Yo. For whatever reason, it's just called Yo. Okay. Now I thought that this was actually a scale meant to simulate Chinese music. Maybe it's a scale that was created for some other purpose. It's the first scale, and so far the only scale in the Shawzin to not start at C though, which is a little bit interesting. Because this scale actually starts at C sharp. It starts at C sharp because the next one is actually D sharp. And what it turns out that this scale is actually just It's just the black keys on the keyboard, which is really good because I find that the black keys on the keyboard, i.e. the sharps, are actually situated in a very interesting way, in the sense that they're best for making music, because the gap between each note seems to make harmonies really easy to make. And that was just me randomly going up and down. So if you want to, like, this might actually be the easiest scale to use on the Shawzin, in my opinion, to just compose a random piece of music. You just make sure your fingers don't go all over the place, and just remember like 1, 2, 3, or whatever your key bindings are, because then you could just don't forget, you can also use chords in the Shawzin as well by pressing multiple buttons together. So the Yo scale might actually be the easiest to make a piece just willy-nilly. Anyway, that's all of the Shawzin scales as of right now. Judging by the fact that the Yo scale actually showed up, we might actually see some more scales in future updates. We'll just have to wait and see. But hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe for more WarFrame content, even though this is just me on the piano. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!